first stage of training, ladies! And boys, I'm not sexist. I sure do hope you made plenty of friends. Because now you need to try and kill them.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Warhammer 40k, a universe so dark that casualties are just a statistic we don't worry about. Last time we talked about the craft world Eldar, an army that hits hard, moves fast, and is a pain in my ass. But now we are talking about an army that, although its infantry is just as fragile, it's just packing a lot more guns and bodies. The Astra Militarum, or better known as the Imperial Guard. Now, the problem becomes that the Imperial Guard's lore is more tied to individual regiments, so there isn't really a way to talk about its story or give it a narrative breakdown unless we are talking about individual regiments. And there is a fuck ton of them, and I don't want to be bogged down in that, so we will just be talking about what the Imperial Guard is, and then move on from there. The Imperial Guard are the regular people of the Imperium who are recruited either through volunteering or involuntary means like conscription to fight the wars of the Imperium of Man. Millions of troops are thrown to the meat grinders of war, and the average lifespan of a guardsman is, add the 4, carry the 1, 18 hours on their first deployment. Yeah, being in the Guard sucks. Guardsmen are organized into regiments, military groups like infantry regiments, mechanized infantry, artillery, and air regiments. These groups are then sent out across the galaxy to war zones that are either hopeless slaughters, bogged down campaigns, places where their equipment and gear won't work, or in the rare instance, a war zone where they actually make a difference. Now, something to note, Guard regiments are formed to reflect the worlds they come from, leading to a wide variety of cultures, styles, and beliefs of conducting war. This creates unique and varied regiments that will either get along when deployed together, or treat each other as the enemy if they can. Whatever the case, your regiment of the Imperial Guard will have its own unique history, colors, and identity. But none of it will matter when that Chaos Havoc is blowing them apart. But don't worry, you are the Hammer of the Emperor, and it's really great that hammers can usually be replaced at your local hardware store. Let's get into the army. The Imperial Guard are an army of quantity over quality units. However, like any good military, your army comes with officers, and those officers have to give commands to the rank and file. Hence your army ability, Voice of Command! Your officers can give a certain amount of orders during your command phase, determined by a special section on their datasheet. These orders are small bonuses that last the whole round, ranging from better movement to way more effective shooting to an increased save stat. However, a unit can only receive one command at a time. If that unit fails a battle shock test, they lose out on that order that was given to them. Also, if an officer dies, their orders for the turn do remain in effect until the end of the turn, but no further orders can be added by that officer. This means your officers are pretty important in your army, because if you lose them, you won't have access to your army ability anymore. So snipers are going to be your worst enemy here. Now, let's get into your units.
Well, sweet Mother Teresa on the hood of a Mercedes-Benz! You sound like a majestic fucking eagle!
Now we move on to the regular infantry, and these will be our objective holders and frontliners. However, the thing to know about your guardsmen is that they are cheap and shitty individually. The threat of guardsmen comes from the sheer weight of numbers you field and shoot down range. Of course, infantry ranges from the standard infantry squad, heavy weapons squads, and more elite cavalry or mutant-like Orgrins. However, due to the loss of individual unique regiment armies, we got slammed with unique infantry units like the Acadian Shock Troops or Death Corps of Krieg, who have their own respective abilities and allow you to still flavor your army however you wish. But remember that the vast majority of your infantry is like paper and will easily get torn apart in melee, and that your officers make these guys more effective. So keep your army organized and close to each other, and you should be relatively okay.
The next generation of gaming is upon us. It's time to upgrade!
Any good military needs APCs, scout vehicles, and artillery units. The Imperial Guard has a damn good variety of light to medium armored units, ranging from the Sentinel to one of the many variants of the Chimera. Granted, the same problem with the Guardsmen applies to your vehicles. They are cheap, and their armor isn't as good as other armies, which means that they get killed a lot easier. But you can field much more than your opponent can and drown them in pure armored units. Of course, there is also the vast amount of artillery units you can field, ranging from the famous Basilisk Earthshaker to the more notorious Wyvern. Your artillery can be extremely dangerous on the field. However, again, they are only effective when you can take a lot of them. And right now, artillery units are your most expensive to bring onto the table, so it's a little harder to form an artillery army. However, these aren't the main armored units of the Imperial Guard. So let's take a look at the true armored might of the Guard.
This game is fair as
Ah yes, the Leman Russ, an armored backbone of the Imperial Guard and an engineer's worst fucking nightmare. The Leman Russ is your main fighting tank and is considered one of the best tanks in all of 40k for its customization options and just being one of the toughest main tanks in the game. The Leman Russ comes in several variants, including options for anti-infantry, anti-elite, and anti-tank. And luckily for you, we also get a tank commander who can hand out buffs to your Leman Russes, making them even more dangerous on the table. We also got a new tank, the Rogel Dorn, a souped-up, better version of the Leman Russ, in theory. The Rogel Dorn is a deadly tank, but lacks the versatility of the Leman Russ, making it a little less desirable than the Leman Russ itself. But with the Imperial Guard, it is easy to make the armored tank army of your dreams. And with the next units that we're talking about, it's even easier.
Tchaikovsky cannons are not instruments.
Yes, they are, and I'm going to use 21 of them.
Tchaikovsky, no.
Tchaikovsky, yes.
Now, let's talk about your heaviest hitting units in the Imperial Guard. The Baneblade and its variants. These tanks are some of the most dangerous units you can field, with the core concept of them being just pure weight of firepower coming out from one model. As well, with the variants you can pick from, you either get a massive troop transport or Titan killers. Though a massive downside of these tanks is that 1, they can't receive orders from a tank commander. 2, their massive size and points costs make them not only a point sink, but also a massive blow to your army if they die. And 3, sometimes it's just better to bring more Leman Russes. The Baneblade and its cousins are dangerous and deadly units, but be aware that your opponent will want them shot off the board as fast as possible, because staring down 11 barrels of hell is a situation no one wants to find themselves in. And that's the Imperial Guard, an army that focuses on quantity of units, keeping those units in line, and grinding their enemies down with volleys of firepower. Sure, your army absolutely melts in melee combat, and your infantry and tanks aren't the best shots, but by the Emperor, that's a fuck ton of shots coming out from them! But the best part about the Guard is just, they are so easy to customize and change to your heart's desire. Making your own Guard regiment isn't that hard. Heck, you can slap Chaos bits or Genestealer Cult bits on them, or make them Tau auxiliaries. You can literally do anything you want with these guys, and it just fits. Don't be afraid to experiment with them. And now, we are heading back into the lands of chaos, as a certain angry boy has been calling for a while. The World Eaters. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to join the Patreon or join the YouTube to see my videos early. See you guys next time.